Hey, what's going on, guys? Back to you with another daily vlog. Hey, listen, so I was doing some reflection as I often do, and I had a close friend reach out and he told me, he's like, Paul, I had no idea that you wrote a book last year. So, what I'm deciding to do is going forward for the next several weeks, I'm going to be diving into my book, Beardology. I'm not trying to sell you, I'm trying to tell you about my experience that I write about in this book and how it could apply to your life. Now, if you want to go on Amazon and pick it up, great. Thank you very much. But here's the thing, guys. This was a massive, monumental task for me to write this book. Now, as you see in the title, Beardology, it's not about facial hair, right? If we look at the verb definition of beard or bearded, it means to confront with boldness, resolution, and often defiance. And that's what made this the perfect title for my book, because that's been my journey, my story, and the things that I have done to build the life that I have now. But it also was not meant to sit on the fucking shelf and collect dust. So what this meant to me was hearing from somebody that knows me, didn't know I wrote a book, even though I was posting about it and stuff like that. I need to do a better job at marketing this, myself, my coaching program, everything like that. So today we're going to talk about confidence, right? Here's the deal. Every man wants confidence, but they're not doing the things they need to do to gain confidence. I was that guy, right? I had the dad bod, as we talked about. We went through that whole thing last time. I had the dad bod. I was very, very sick. I even show the picture of my dad bod within my book, but I was very, very sick. And I made the choice to no longer live the way I was living. And that was, confronting with boldness, right? I was confronting myself as a man and who I was at that moment in order to become a better man, not only for myself, but for my family. And part of that was I needed to take action. And too many of us think that we have to get the confidence first in order to take the action that we seek. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Because what happens is you sit there and you wait and you wait and you wait and you never end up moving forward and you never take the action because you never gain the confidence like you think. What needs to happen, I tell this in my book, is exactly what I did. I knew that I needed to change with my career. I knew that my career was no longer filling me up. I spent 14 years at the fire department. And I knew I needed that change. And it's not something that I knew up here, I knew in my heart. And as cheesy as that sounds, that's what most men struggle with. Most men know something needs to change. And yet we come up here sometimes and we let this get in the way. Because here's the thing. What you actually need in order to build confidence, first, you need clarity. But then you need a reason to bet on yourself again as a man. And it's not mindset, rather. It's not about mindset. It's about having integrity with yourself, right? You know something needs to change, and you know there are going to be things that you have to do in order to make that change that you may not necessarily want to do. But it's having that integrity to do the things, the tasks daily to hit your targets. And that's where I was. And so I was working on myself. I had started working on my health a lot more. I had started working on my fitness. That caused a shitstorm at the fire department for whatever reason, because I was working out during business hours when I was allowed to. And I just put all that shit aside. I was like, no, I need to have such a level of integrity of doing what I said I was going to do in order to keep going down the path that I wanted to seek. And so confidence is what you need before you take the action. Confidence comes after the commitment. And when you start taking those actions that are going to lead you down that road, then your confidence starts to grow, right? So I always like to use, weight and fitness because it's a very factual, measurable result that you can tell from looking at a person. That's why I went so hard on the vlog the other day. But when you start seeing more muscle growth, when you start seeing dropping fat, when you start feeling better in the morning, those are measurable results. Those are results of you holding yourself to integrity to get that result. And the confidence, guys, will follow, right? And I know, there might be some guys watching this saying, oh, I don't give a fuck about, I am confident. I'm a loser. Well, guess what? If we gave a magic wand, I would have to disagree. But, you have to take the leap. Like if you heard that I guarantee you, if you're on social media, you've heard the term burn the boats. And I believe that came from the Vikings. When they would go ransack a place, they would burn the boats and just burn it to the fucking ground. But you have to burn the safety net that you fall into. You have to burn down the comfort. You have to move through the fire. You got to take the leap. So in my book, Beardology, I talk about how after 14 years of working for the fire department, after going to school and getting 3 degrees, after losing my close friend, of him dying at 36, I was at a point where I was burning the fucking boats. I was so lost within myself, in my confidence, in my integrity, and who I was as a man, that I took the leap to walk away. And every single person that knew me, besides my wife, told me not to do it. As I sat there in the fire chief's office, I was crying. And I wasn't crying because I was leaving. I was crying because I had spent 14 years of my life dedicated, so much time spent to get to that point, and I was walking away. And it was almost like a death. And it had to be a death within inside myself as a man in order for me to do that. Because when I left as a shell of a man. Now, some of that was my own doing. Some of it was the fire department culture. But I left as a shell, and I knew I had to go rebuild that shell. And by me leaving and taking the leap that I needed to take, walking away from the only career that I'd ever had, that I'd only prepared for starting at the age of 16, I was the primary breadwinner. I had the insurance. I got rid of the safety net. I burnt the boats. And I went on to start my own business. And I started building that. And it started gaining momentum. And then my wife came to me and said, hey, I want to do this and I want us to do it together. So I shut that down. So I burnt the boats 3 months later again. But it was in that time that I found my confidence. And when you find your confidence, gentlemen, then clarity starts to become even more prevalent in your life. So consider this. The real reason you have no confidence in yourself is you don't have integrity. You keep breaking the promises to yourself. I'm going to get up early, yet you didn't. You hit snooze. Oh, I'm going to stop drinking. Oh, but you poured a whiskey tonight. You told your wife you were going to go do this for her, or you're going to take her out on a date, yet you didn't. You're too tired from working. You told your kids you're going to go play with them, yet you broke that promise. So if you're seeking real confidence, men, stop breaking promises to yourself. Start taking the leap and doing the hard things that are needed in order for you to gain that confidence and clarity. That's how you become confident. And to all the haters out there that'll watch this, There's a big difference between being arrogant and being confident. And I'll leave it up to you to take a look at the Webster's Dictionary on what the fucking difference is. So with that, guys, thanks again for popping on. I look forward to exploring my book Beardology with you, and not letting this book sit and collect dust, because I believe that there's a ton of value. I know there's a ton of value in here, because when I sent out the first versions of this book, I have it in here. I told people to burn this book if I could not provide any value to their life after an hour of reading it. So with that, guys, till next time, dominate daily.